Wrong place." The words came as rough hands clamped around her throat, slamming Petty Officer Second Class Avery Callan into the cold concrete wall hard enough to make her vision pulse white. 26 years old, 5'4", and to them she was just some lost girl who'd walked into the wrong building. What they didn't know, she'd spent 3 years as a Navy SEAL close-quarters combat instructor, teaching some of the most lethal operators in special warfare how to end a fight with their bare hands. Hours earlier, Avery had stood outside Building 7 at Naval Amphibious Base Trident Bay, her sea bag hanging from one shoulder, fog from the Pacific curling around her boots. Compact and wiry, short blonde hair tucked under a hoodie, a faint scar sliced through her left eyebrow. A souvenir from Hell Week. Civilian clothes weren't her first choice, but her temporary orders had come through late and never specified a uniform. Now, she was paying for that mistake. Building 7 was supposed to be temporary quarters for SEAL candidates rotating through Badass, a place to crash between training phases. But when she pushed open the side door, she found 4 men inside, all in Navy PT gear, staring like she'd just invaded their territory. One of them, a thick-necked petty officer with a shaved head, stepped forward. "You lost?" Avery shook her head. "Assigned here, temporary housing until my instructor quarters open." He laughed, low and dismissive. "This ain't for instructors, sweetheart. Candidate overflow only." Then, as if talking to an audience that didn't exist, he grinned. "Where you watching from? Drop your location in the comments, and if you want more stories like this, hit that subscribe button." Avery Callan came from Clearwater, Montana, the youngest of 3 daughters in a home where discipline wasn't optional. Her father, a Navy corpsman who'd served 2 tours in Vietnam, believed every person should know how to defend themselves. At 10, he started teaching her to fight. Not because he feared for her, but because he wanted her capable. By 15, she was competing in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, winning local tournaments, and earning a name at regional meets. She enlisted at 18, jumping straight into the SEAL support pipeline as a special warfare combatant craft crewman, one of the few women in the program. 2 years piloting RHIB boats and running operations alongside SEAL teams showed her what true operators looked like. When Naval Special Warfare opened instructor billets in close quarters combat to women, she applied and was selected. 3 years at the Warfare Center, teaching weapon retention, defensive tactics, and joint locks to SEAL candidates and active duty operators twice her size, forged her reputation. Certified in SEAL tactical instruction and one of only 12 women qualified to teach lethal CQC techniques across naval special warfare, she earned early promotion for her technical mastery. She didn't brag. Her record did the talking. Those who'd trained under her knew exactly what she was capable of. But outside that world, people saw only a small woman in a hoodie and made dangerous assumptions. The petty officer crossed his arms. "Look, lady, I don't know who told you to come here, but this berthing's for candidates only. You understand?" Avery calmly pulled her phone from her jacket, opened her orders, and held the screen up for him to read. He squinted, frowning, not out of respect, but confusion. "Huh," he muttered. Another man, lean and tattooed down one arm, stepped forward. "No need to check anything. She's in the wrong place." Avery's voice stayed level, steady. "You can verify with personnel if you'd like," Avery said evenly. "My orders are legitimate." The youngest of the group shifted uneasily, his voice hesitant. "Maybe we should just let her stay. It's not a big deal." The petty officer snapped his glare toward him. "Shut it, Tate. This is candidate berthing, and I'm not sharing space with some random girl who wandered in." Avery's jaw flexed, but her tone stayed calm. "I'm not some random girl. I'm Petty Officer Second Class Avery Callan, and I've been assigned here. If that's a problem, take it up the chain of command." The fourth man, who hadn't spoken until now, stepped forward. He was massive, over 6 feet tall, shoulders wide enough to block the doorway. "Petty officer or not, you're not staying. Leave now, or we'll help you." Avery's eyes moved across their faces. She already knew how this would go. They wouldn't verify anything, wouldn't bother checking her paperwork. To them, she wasn't a peer. She was an intruder. And they were about to make it physical. Her reassignment had come through in a rush, the admin copy still floating somewhere in personnel limbo, giving these men all the excuse they needed to justify their hostility. The petty officer stepped closer, close enough for her to smell the stale sweat on his shirt. "Last chance, get out." Avery stood still, her pulse steady, breath slow. This wasn't new to her. Not exactly like this, but close enough. Men who mistook her size for weakness. Men who believed aggression could replace skill. Men who eventually learned that assumption was pain's best friend. She heard her father's voice in her head, the calm, steady tone he used when teaching her to fight. "Walk away when you can," he'd say, "but if you can't, make sure they remember it." She remembered Hell Week, the endless surf torture, the freezing water, and how she'd outlasted men twice her size because pain faded, but quitting never did. She remembered the training mats at the Warfare Center, demonstrating joint locks and chokeholds on operators who outweighed her by 80 pounds, proving that leverage and precision beat brute strength every time. None of that mattered now. Not yet. The air in the room thickened. The space seemed to shrink. The petty officer loomed close, jaw clenched, waiting for her to fold. The big man, Boone, crossed his arms, blocking the exit. Tate looked like he wanted to speak again, but didn't dare. Riker, the tattooed one, just stared, unreadable. Avery slowly picked up her sea bag. "Fine," she said softly. "I'll go." She turned toward the door. Then everything snapped. The petty officer's hand clamped down on her shoulder, spinning her around. "Wrong place," he hissed, both hands shooting to her throat. The shove slammed her back against the wall so hard her head struck concrete, vision flashing white, ears ringing. His grip crushed her airway, and behind him came laughter, their laughter, like this was entertainment. Avery didn't think. Instinct took over. Her right hand shot up, wrapping around his wrist, twisting until the pressure broke. Simultaneously, her left hand drove upward into the soft spot under his jaw. It wasn't a killing blow, but it made him gag and stagger back. She followed instantly, knee rising hard into his solar plexus, folding him in half and sending him wheezing to the ground. Boone came next, faster than she expected for his size, lunging to grab her. Avery pivoted, used his own weight, hooked her leg behind his knee, and slammed her shoulder into his chest. The impact sent the giant crashing to the tile with a dull, bone-heavy thud that left him stunned and groaning. Boone hit the floor hard, his skull striking the tile with a heavy thud that left him groaning, dazed, and struggling to move. Riker froze, eyes wide, but Avery didn't give him time to think. She stepped in fast, seized his wrist, and twisted it into a standing arm lock that forced him to his knees. He yelped, pain flashing across his face, and she held him there. Voice cold and level. "You still want to keep this going?" He shook his head quickly, color draining from his face. No, we're done." Tate was already backed up against the wall, both hands raised. "I didn't touch you. I swear." Avery released Riker and stepped back, breathing controlled, every motion measured. Petty Officer Grant lay on the floor clutching his throat, wheezing. Boone groaned and rolled onto his side, blinking hard through the pain. Then the door burst open. A senior chief in khaki uniform stormed in, fury carved across his face. "What the hell is going on here?" Grant tried to stand, still gripping his throat. "She attacked us. Senior Chief, we were just—" "Shut your mouth, Grant," the chief snapped, cutting him off. His gaze locked on Avery, hard but steady. "Who are you?" "Petty Officer, 2nd Class Avery Callan, sir," she replied, voice steady though her head still throbbed. "I was assigned temporary quarters in this building. These men refused to let me stay and then assaulted me." The senior chief's eyes narrowed. "Let me see your orders." Avery handed him her phone. He read the screen, jaw tightening with every line. Then his glare swung toward the 4 men slumped across the floor. "You idiots just assaulted a naval special warfare close-quarters combat instructor." He keyed his radio. "Master-at-Arms, this is Senior Chief Maddox. I need security and medical response to Building 7, candidate berthing. We've got an assault on a petty officer and multiple injuries." His tone shifted to steel. "Grant, Boone, Riker, you'll explain to the commanding officer why you thought it was smart to lay hands on an instructor. UCMJ Article 28, assault on a petty officer. Reduction in rank, and you're lucky if it stops there." Maddox turned back to Avery. "You need medical attention?" "My head hit the wall, Senior Chief. I should probably get checked." "Smart call. Medics are on the way." His glare swept across the others. "Nobody moves till the MAs arrive. You're all detained pending investigation." None of them dared speak. Maddox's tone softened slightly as he looked back at her. "You handled that well, petty officer. Most would have panicked." Avery shook her head. "Didn't want to hurt them, but they didn't leave me a choice." 2 days later, she moved into her permanent instructor quarters across the base. Grant and Boone faced captain's mast under Article 28, reduced to E3, 45 days restriction, 45 of extra duty, and reassignment to Fleet Support Command while the investigation continued. Riker received non-judicial punishment and mandatory professional conduct training. Tate, who never joined in, was required to provide a sworn statement and complete additional leadership courses, including a presentation on why it matters to intervene before things go wrong. Word spread fast. By week's end, everyone at the Naval Special Warfare Center, Trident Bay, had heard the story. A female instructor attacked by 4 candidates, walking away with nothing but a concussion, while they walked away with charges. Some doubted it at first. Then they learned she was certified to teach active duty SEALs hand-to-hand combat. Doubt quickly turned to respect. Avery didn't talk about it. She reported to her new post, lead instructor, advanced defensive tactics, and got back to work. The men she trained were professional, focused, ready to learn. A few had heard the rumors and asked if it was true. She confirmed it with a nod, nothing more, and returned to the lesson plan. One afternoon outside the training building, Tate approached, shoulders tense. "Petty officer," he said quietly, "I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I should have stopped them. I should have spoken up." Avery looked at him for a long moment, then nodded. "You're right. You should have. Next time, be the one who steps in before it happens. That's what leaders do." He nodded once and walked away. Avery turned back toward the mats inside. Another class waited. More candidates to train, more lessons to teach.